Let's start then with today's lesson. We are busy with Learning Unit 1. And Professor Dix last week, she did start this Learning Unit 1 with you. Learning Unit 1 is about identification of a viable research topic. Now each one of you, you do have a topic now, am I right? Do you have a title? Some people have a title already. If you do not have a title, you must speak to your supervisor or to your mentor. Okay. So I'm not going to go into the details again about topics and titles because according to me, that has been done by Professor Dix. But what I want to get into today is three things. I want us to look at the research process. I want us to look at how to write a research objective, and then I want us to look at how to write a problem statement. What is a problem statement and how am I going to write this problem statement? So those three things I want to do today. Okay, these slides I will also post for you on Vutela, so don't worry about copying or anything. I will post everything that we do in class, I will post on Vutela. You might have already noticed that there's a lot of information posted for all the groups on Vutela. I've posted referencing guidelines, I've posted technical guidelines for your assignments. Have you seen that? That you can go on Vutela, it's there for everyone, okay. So those ones are there. I've posted PowerPoint presentations, the video links from last week's class, it's all on there. So check it out. Okay, so let's look at the research process. Remember, if we go back, we had to define what is research. And part of the definition for research is that it is a process. There are certain steps that needs to be followed within this process of research, okay? So I want to go through each of these steps. The first steps in the research process is identifying and analyzing the problem. Now that is what we are currently busy with. Your first assignment is to write a problem statement. What is research? Research is about identifying a problem and finding the solution to that specific problem. Do you remember that? So that is our first step in research. We need to find the problem. What is the problem that we are facing? And that links with assignment 1, the one that we are currently busy with. So you will see in this process, each assignment that you are going to do throughout this year is linked to an assignment or to a step in the process. Okay, so I've indicated in red there what it's linked to. Assignment 1 is the problem statement. Now remember, I also told you at the end of this year, you are going to submit a project. A final project, that is your last assignment. That project is formulated according to chapters, or it's structured around chapters. Chapter 1 in that project is going to be your assignment 1. You're going to copy and paste your problem statement into your chapter 1 of your final project. Do you understand that? But when we get to the final project, again, we will go through this. I just want to illustrate to you, research is a process, and everything that we are doing this year, all our assignments are structured exactly according to this process. The second step in our research process is finding and reading the literature review. So after you've identified a problem, you need to do what? You need to read. Read extensively. You've learned in the library training how to search for textbooks and articles. You are going to use that training to find those articles and textbooks, and you are going to read through the articles and textbooks. And then you're going to write also about what you've read. And that is a literature review. So you are reading literature from articles and from textbooks. Now in our course, assignment 3, it's going to be your literature review, okay? And that is also a step in the process. And at the end, you're going to copy and paste that into your chapter 2 of your final project, all right? Then step 3, you have to formulate your questions or your hypothesis. Now, what is a research question? You've done that last week. The question that you want to answer through your research, that is your research question. And your research question is linked to your problem. Okay. So we have to formulate a research question. This is also part of our assignment 1, and it will go into your chapter 1 as well at the end. Then you have to choose an approach. You know what the problem is, you've read about the problem, but how are you going to solve this problem? What methods are you going to use? Are you going to use a qualitative approach or a quantitative approach? Will you do interviews with your respondents, or will you do questionnaires with your respondents? That's all part of approaches that you need to decide on. What methods? That's the methods that you will be using for solving the problem. And that is part of assignment 2. Assignment 2 is a proposal. We're going to get to that. But that approach should also come into assignment 2, and it's going to be chapter 3 in your final project. The 5th step is writing your research proposal. Now, after you've decided which methods you're going to use, you need to put this now in a plan. How are you planning on doing and executing this research? And that is your proposal that you're going to do. Okay? So that is also assignment number 2, and you're going to copy parts of it into chapter 1 and parts of it into chapter 3 of your final project. The next step is to pre-test your data, your research data collection method. Now, what is a data collection method? How are you going to gather the information about from your respondents? Are you going to use, as I said, questionnaires? Are you going to use interviews? Are you going to use focus group discussions? What are you going to use? And whatever you're using, you have to pre-test that to make sure that the respondents understand what you are asking them. So if you are using a questionnaire, you're going to draft it. I'm going to read it. Your supervisor is going to read it. We're going to distribute it to at least 2 other respondents to read through it and to make sure that they understand the questions before we go out and do the field work. That is pre-testing or pilot testing. We also call it pilot testing. Your data collection methods or instruments. So an instrument is whatever you are using. Are you using an interview, a questionnaire, a focus group? What are you using? That will then be your assignment 4. And then also part of assignment 4 is the next step, sample and collect your data. What does sampling mean? You need to select from your population. A population is the entire group of respondents from where you want the information. But you cannot target 100,000 people attending a festival. You need to draw a sample from the 100,000. So you need to determine how many respondents do you need, and then where are you going to find them? Okay, so that is your sample. It's a smaller representative group of people of the larger population that you are targeting. And then you're also going to collect your data from that sample. Okay, and that is assessment, part of your assessment 4. The next step in the process, you're going to analyze and interpret your information. So after you have distributed your questionnaires or you have conducted your interviews, you need to tabulate those information, the data. You need to code the data and table the data, okay? And that is the analyzing of it, and you're going to draw graphs and charts from that. You're going to say the majority of respondents were male or female. They are aged between this and this, based on what you see from your questionnaires, all right, or from your interviews or whatever you're going to use. And then you need to interpret that. What does it mean for the establishment if most of the respondents are, for example, males? Or what does it mean if most of the respondents are high-income earners, for example? That is interpretation of the results. Assignment 5. It goes into chapter 4 and into chapter 5 of the final project. And then at the end, you're going to do a research report. That is the final project that you will be writing, and it's the last step in research, because now you need to make it known. What did you research? Why did you research it? What was your finding? And what is the, very important, the solution to the problem? You need to come to that conclusion at the end with this research report. A conclusion and the solution to that problem that you had at the beginning. Okay, and also, did you meet your objectives, which is also there in the beginning? All right, so that will be your assignment number 6 and assignment number 7. And this will then also include the entire chapter 1 to 5 in your final project. So you can see, research is a process. All of you have a title. You are married to that title for this entire year. I've heard students asking, am I going to get a new topic for every assignment that I'm doing this year? No, you're not getting new topics for each assignment. You use the same topic for each and every assignment throughout this year, because we are following the steps in this process with regards to that specific title. All right. Are we clear on that? Yes. Okay, I want to come to the research problem. So according to our definition of research, research is a process where we identify that there is in fact a problem, and that problem needs a solution. And that solution will lead to some kind of improvement, whether it is societal well-being, societal improvement, industry improvement. That solution must lead to something that improves life of people, enterprises, and so on. Okay, so we need to identify a problem. If we don't have a problem, we cannot do the research. So the problem needs to be identified and needs to be solved. So let's look at what is a research problem. A research problem is defined as a situation that needs a solution and for which there are possible solutions. Okay, so you need to be realistic about your research problem. It firstly needs to be an existing problem. You need to be able to support that, to say there is a problem because I have experienced it or I have read this in the literature that there is an existing problem. Okay? It needs to exist. And there should be a possible solution. What do I mean by that? Let me give you an example. Let's say all people die. At some stage, everybody will die. Okay? The problem we can say is dying, for example. That can be a problem. But what solution can we find for dying? There's nothing we can do about that. That is the course of life. Okay? So we cannot find a possible solution for that problem. Can you see that's not a realistic problem to have? So your problem must be realistic and you need to be able to come up with a solution for that. So think about that when you are identifying your problem. Furthermore, a research problem is a discrepancy between what is and what ought to be. Okay, so in everything we have the ideal situation. We want to strive towards the ideal situation. Okay, but there can be a problem because we are not meeting our objectives or we are not at that ideal situation. That is a problem. There's a gap between what we have and between where we want to go. And that gap is a problem, okay? So we can say it's a gap in knowledge. And very importantly, as I've said, the research problem is the heart of the research process. We need to have the problem, otherwise we will not be able to come up with a solution. If there's no problem, we can't do the research. So that is the definitions for a research problem. But what you now need to do as students, research students, you need to write a problem statement. As the reader, if I am the reader, I need to be convinced that in fact there is a problem. And you need to write that problem in the form of a statement, a problem statement. You need to convince me there's actually a problem, okay? So what is the problem statement? It's a description of an issue that is currently existing that needs to be addressed. So once again, it's that problem that needs a solution. It provides the context or the setting for the specific study. So it indicates to us what type of research has been done on a specific topic, what are the actual problems that people are struggling with. So it provides context and setting. It generates the research question. The research question then goes hand in hand with the problem statement. The problem is the focal point of your research. With those the process with the steps in research, we said that we need to come and conclude at the end that we did find a solution for the problem that we identified in step 1. That's why we say research problem is the focal point of your research, because everything in your project must lead to the solution. The methods that you choose must lead to a solution. It is a paragraph to elaborate on the problem. So you're going to write this statement in the form of a paragraph, and it includes persuasive arguments. You are going to persuade me to believe that there is an actual problem. So, and this problem must be important enough to then study. Okay, so it must be something that will lead to the improvement of something else, society or industry. So that is the definition for the problem statement. I should not clean now. Now a problem statement consists of 3 elements. It should be stated clearly and should provide contextual detail to establish why is it important. For example, if you have a topic, you want to determine what are the factors that are going to encourage visitors to be more loyal towards a specific establishment. You need to tell me why is it important to know that. So why is it important to know certain things? So think about your title. What is your title? Why is it important to establish why that is important? Okay? It should include something about the method, how you will be solving that problem, and then it should include a statement of what it is that you are proposing to do. Okay? It should be brief. I say it should not be more than 2 paragraphs. So for your problem statement, you are not going to write to me 2 or 3 or 4 pages. It's only no longer than 2 paragraphs. By that I mean half a page. Okay? If it's 1 paragraph and the 1 paragraph is written very well, it's acceptable, then it's only 1 paragraph. But no longer than half a paragraph. It should be short, clear and concise, to the point. I want to know, why do we need to do this research? Why is it important? What is the exact problem? What are you going to do? Okay. But we'll get to another slide where I'm also going to tell you how to write and examples. Okay. Those are the 2 paragraphs then for problem statement. Then we have the criteria. So these are some things. Just go through this and see that if you've written your problem statement, go back to the criteria. See, does my problem statement meet this criteria that is indicated in this slide? So the criteria includes, for the problem statement, you need to indicate what is to be investigated. What are you investigating? There should be a statement or a declarative question. I'm going to show you an example of that. Remember that word, a declarative of question form. I'm going to show you that question, okay? The statement should indicate the variables. What variables are you looking at? Are you looking at demographic variables? Are you looking at aspects, factors? What things are you looking at? And are you looking at relationships between different variables? Your problem statement should be researchable. Remember what I said? The problem statement is something that is realistic. You should be able to come up with a solution. And that is the answerability of your problem statement. It should also be feasible. So you must be able to cope with it on your own? Okay, do you have the resources to do this research? Think in terms of money, think in terms of time, think in terms of capacity and knowledge. Do you have the resources to do this? Is it feasible? All right. The scope of the study. If the scope of the study is too broad, then you won't be able to do the study. You cannot say, I'm going to look at the factors in South Africa affecting visitors' loyalty to all tourism establishments, for example. That is too broad, okay? Because then you're looking at the whole South Africa and all establishments. As one person, you will not be able to do that. So the scope there will then be too broad. The scope must be focused, and you're going to select a realistic sample for your research study. All right. Then the theoretical value. This study should contribute something in terms of theory. So other people should be able to read your study and actually say, but this study provided a feasible solution for this problem that industry is facing. And the study recommends that A, B, and C can be implemented in order to rectify the problem. So your study should lead to some kind of value in terms of theory. It should contribute to the knowledge of society and of industry. So it should make contributions, in other words. The relevance, there it comes. It must make a noteworthy contributions to the knowledge that society has about the specific topic. Okay, so here we go now to how are we going to write this problem statement that we are talking about. You are first going to draft or pre-write. Your first draft of your problem statement, it's not going to be perfect. I can guarantee you that. Writing a problem statement, people, it's not easy. From own experience, I can tell you it is challenging because you need to get it perfect. Okay, so you're going to redraft and redraft until it is perfect. Okay, so that is why it's so important for you to get to your mentors so that they can assist you with the writing thereof. But as I've said, do not go empty-handed to your mentor because they need something to work from. They need to see what have you done from your side. All right. So, but we are saying you're going to draft now your first draft. After today's lesson, you're going to start drafting your first draft of a problem statement, and you're going to make an appointment with your mentor to discuss that draft. Okay. Know that you are looking for something wrong and something that needs close attention. So keep in mind your topic. What is the problem that you are trying to address? Because that needs to be explained in this specific paragraph that you are writing about your problem statement. It must make a point about the issues and the information you are discussing. So you're going to refer in your problem statement briefly to a similar study that might have been conducting to support that this is something that is important to do. The research is needed. You need to think about your topic and talk a bit about your topic in your problem statement, and you need to ensure that there's a linkage between the topic and the problem. Those things go together. Your topic and title and problem, those things go together. I'm going to illustrate an example so that you can understand. Furthermore, you must know, is your problem current? It should be something that is current and is topical. It should be something that is trending, a current issue that society is facing or industry is facing. Is the problem likely to continue in future? So obviously this problem should be something that might happen again in future, and then your research can help to address that problem. Will more information about the problem have practical application? Yes, you should be able to answer yes on that. If you can provide information on the problem, and your information can contribute to practical knowledge that can be used by industry, then it is a good problem. Will more information about the problem have theoretical importance? As I've said, it should contribute to new knowledge. How large is the population? That is again the scope. The population is where you are going to draw your sample from. That is the respondents. The entire group of respondents who you are going to target, but you're going to draw a sample from that population. and with this study substantially revise or extend existing knowledge. So again, there comes in, it needs to do or to make some kind of contribution to theory and to knowledge. Can your study, for example, also be used to create or improve an instrument? An instrument is like a questionnaire or an interview. Those are the instruments, or we also call it a measuring instrument. If you design now a questionnaire for your study, can similar studies maybe use your questionnaire for their studies as well? Then that also contributes to theoretical knowledge, application, theory, all those things it will contribute to. Would research findings lead to some useful change in best practice? Your findings, will it have value for industry? Is there support for this research or evidence that this research is needed? You need to indicate what studies have been done, and if studies have indicated that there is a need for this type of research. So when you read, for example, an article and you page to the last page of the article, there will be a section dealing with limitations of the study. Those limitations indicate where future research is also needed. There's also recommendations for future studies in articles. You read those things because they tell you this research is needed in the future. And you can support then your problem with that studies. So the problem statement could close with a question. I'm going to show you how that looks. And then I want to go to the example. I'm not sure if you will be able to read here. Zoom. Okay. Wait. Yeah, I know, but where is it? No. No, but this is in PowerPoint. No, but that's Word. No, but I can't. Yeah. No, I can't. It's copied and pasted from Word. I can't adjust that. It's like an image. Yeah. I just want to see. Okay, let's just go. Okay, this is an example of a problem statement. I just want to go a bit down because I want to just show you the topic for this. We're going to go back to that problem statement, but the title for that study is Identifying the Key Success Factors for Marketing a Tourism Establishment in Lesotho. That title now needs a problem statement, and the example that I've brought to class is a problem statement for that title. So I want us to go through that. Okay, let's read through this. Companies which excel on particular key success factors in terms of marketing are likely to enjoy a stronger market position and are able to differentiate themselves from their rivals. What does that tell you about this study? Is this study important? No. Is it? What does that sentence tell you? Is it important? I'm not asking if this is a problem statement. I'm asking if this sentence tells you that the title is important. Yes, it does. Why? Because it's saying if you can market yourself effectively by knowing those factors, the establishment will have a stronger market position and they will differentiate themselves better. So that tells me the importance. So that comes into a problem statement. Why is it important? Why is your title important? The competitive nature of the tourism industry furthermore emphasizes the need for more effective marketing. What do we see there? There is a need for this study. Why? Because the industry is competitive. That comes into a problem statement. It emphasizes the need. Marketing managers of tourism establishments are, however, faced with several challenges. Here comes a problem. A challenge is a problem. Okay. What are these challenges? Don't just stop there. Now you have to tell me, what are those challenges? According to Jafar, a large number of businesses are run by owners or operators who lack formal business training. So they are not trained. That is a challenge. They do not have marketing background. That is a problem. Okay, it's a challenge. In addition, tourism organizations fail due to inadequate marketing skills, insufficient resources, weak management, and external pressures which restrain them to market their products effectively or successfully. Those are problems facing the tourism industry in terms of marketing. Can you see that? But where did we get that? Do you see we have a reference there, Jafar? We did not thumbsuck that. It comes from a reference. You need to support with a reference. You don't thumbsuck the challenge. Okay, someone needs to say there is a challenge. In this case, it was Jafar. These challenges, now listen, these challenges emphasizes the need for the research or for understanding about key success factors for marketing. Yes? Okay, that's not relevant for this lecture now. That key success factors, if you use it the first time, that abbreviation, the first time you need to write out the word. Second time, you can use the abbreviation. In this case, I copied this from a proposal from a student, and she already did the full she wrote it out in full in first, yeah. So that's why it's now in abbreviation. All right, let's go then to the next sentence. Now listen what she says. She says the importance of key success factors for marketing has been highlighted in several studies. There she lists the studies. So it's not only one person who says this is important. Those people, Salah Helden and Lu Wang, they also researched about key success factors. So they also say this is an important topic. So she references them. From these studies, it is clear that identifying and implementing key success factors for marketing are critical in order for tourism establishments to remain sustainable and competitive. So other studies also say this is important. Do you get that? This comes in a problem statement. This problem statement is on master's level. Yours is not going to be that long. I'm trying to illustrate a point on what comes into the problem statement. All right? Yours are not going to be that long. Now she goes on. She says, even though numerous studies have focused on the importance of key success factors for marketing, referencing them, little research has been done on the marketing of tourism establishments in the context of Lesotho. That is her context. She's going to conduct it in Lesotho. It's also part of her title. All right? So she says there's a gap because several studies have been done, but none of these have focused on marketing in Lesotho. So there's a gap in research in Lesotho in terms of marketing tourism establishments. She indicates it there. It is thus not clear what the key success factors are for marketing a tourism establishment in Lesotho. Therefore, this study seeks to answer, here comes that question, the following research question, namely, what are the key success factors for marketing a tourism establishment in Lesotho? There she ends it, strong, with a question, after she's indicated why the research is important, who has researched about it, and all those things has been indicated. So she ends very strong, and I am convinced as a reader that this research is needed. Do you get it? I will post this on Vutela. Read it again. Okay? Go back to the criteria and check that your problem statement meets the criteria. Writing a problem statement takes lots of exercising. Okay? You need to write and practice it. It's very important. If the problem statement is not clear, then I am not convinced as a reader that these studies are needed. Okay, that is the problem statement. Do you have any questions about problem statement before we go on to the next section? Ma'am?
Like there is a sentence that I'm just going to pick up on, and then it is written, little research has been done on the marketing of tourism in the context of Lesotho, because it's not the researcher who that sentence what it's look like out.
Yeah.
2014 brother. And then wasn't it supposed to be in inverted commas because it's not the research?
It's not a quote.
It's not a quote.
You only put a sentence in inverted commas if you quote directly from a source. If you rewrite it in your own words, you don't quote.
And then like out the 2014 and then
Page number
page number
52.
Is it fine that we can apply that method of quoting as well?
Like she's done it. Yeah, that is perfect. Mm.
Okay.
This is a proposal that was approved by our degrees. Any other questions? Yes?
I just wanted to know, in terms of referencing, you know, on my results as a Microsoft, the option there references, you can just automatically insert.
They are at the toolbar.
Yes, just automatically.
Oh, he doesn't want to show them.
For your sentence, can we use that way or?
I've never used it. I don't know. I put in my references manually. There's another program, RefWorks, where they do use, students can use RefWorks. I know VUT subscribes to it, and I know that works. But that one I haven't used. I don't know if you can set the settings for, but I really don't know.
No, there's no sentence. Like, just say maybe this sentence that I just wrote in my own voice.
Oh yeah.
Instead of writing in manually, I just go there by reference and I ask the website or a journal or a book.
Do you put it in?
I put the author's name and the year and the day I exit the website, and then when I'm done with all my work, at the end I add a reference in my
Yeah, I understand it creates it. I understand that, but what I'm saying, I don't know how the format looks because we are specific with regards to the format that we want. So if that format of them differs to the VUT format, we don't accept it. If it's the same, it's fine, you can do it like that. But if it's different, maybe do a test and check how it works. If you see that it works and the format looks correct, then you use it. You can come and tell me. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Problem statement? Nothing. Can we move on? Okay, I want to go to the research objectives then. Once again, we need to know what is a research objective. So we all know what objectives are, but this is the goals that you want to achieve through your research. And in research, we get two types of objectives. We get the primary objective, or we can also say that it is the main aim of your research or the primary purpose of the research. And then we have the secondary objectives of the research. Now, the primary objective, this is one statement. It's one sentence saying, why are you doing this research? So it's the motivation guided by your title. Now, let's look at an example. The title of this study, as I've said, the one that we're dealing with, is identifying key success factors for marketing a tourism establishment in Lesotho. the primary objective of this study, the purpose of this investigation is to identify the key success factors for marketing a tourism establishment in Lesotho in order for tourism establishments to gain a competitive advantage. Okay, that's one statement. That's all that the primary objective is. It's linked to your title. Can you see all the variables that's in the title? It's also contained in the objective of the study. Now I have a recipe for you for writing the objective, and this is the recipe. You just need to replace the blocks with your own variables and information. You can start by saying the main purpose, the main objective, the aim, the main task. You can use any one of those words, okay? Of this investigation. What is research? It is an investigation. Your study is an investigation into something. So the purpose of this investigation is to do what? Are you going to evaluate? Are you going to analyze, develop, identify? Our example said she was going to identify, so we used that one. You can decide which one of those words are you use. Those are examples of words to use. Then you have to refer to the variables. Her variables were the key success factors. Those are the variables. In terms of, with reference to, in comparison with, or subject to. So she looked at the key success factors in terms of marketing a tourism establishment where? In Lesotho. In order to do what? To gain a competitive advantage, the goal to be achieved. So you can take this diagram and you can fill in your own information in that diagram, and then you have a primary objective. Look at your title and complete the diagram, and then you have a primary objective. Questions? Does this make sense? Then we go to the secondary objectives. The secondary objectives are the sub-objectives of your study. So you have a main objective, but how are you going to reach that main objective? There might be certain things that you need to look at or need to do in order to achieve the primary objective of your study. So those sub-things that you need to do, or those actions that you need to take in order to achieve the primary objective, they are called the secondary objectives of your study. All right. So it explains how you will achieve the primary objective. They are formulated using words such as to explore, to determine, to compare. We're going to look at examples. And you can apply the SMART principles for writing these objectives. They need to be specific. They need to be measurable. So you actually need to, at the end, say, but I did do this, or I did not do this. I did reach this objective, or I did not reach this objective. So it should be measurable. It should be realistic and attainable. In other words, you need to be able to find information about that, or you need to be able to conduct that specific step in order to reach the main aim of the study. Time-bound, I'm not too sure about time-bound. I've never seen a proposal that is with objectives that indicates the exact times when you are going to do the action. So that one I'm not too worried about, but definitely it needs to be specific, measurable, and realistic. Those things are very important. So let's look at some of the examples again.
What about dates?
I just said it. Objectives. Here are some secondary objectives. Okay. We are dealing still with the same title of the student, identifying the key success factors for marketing a tourism establishment in Lesotho. What are the secondary objectives of this study? There's 2 objectives, okay? Not less than 2. So if you write your objectives, no less than 2 objectives, no more than 4. All right? This student, she said she's going to analyze the key success factors for marketing a tourism establishment in Lesotho by means of an in-depth literature review. So she says one of the steps or one of the objectives that she needs to take in order to identify those key success factors, she first needs to go and read what does literature say. So that is one of her objectives, and that is attainable. She is going to read, she can search for the literature, she is going to write a chapter about the literature, so then the objective will be met. So it's measurable as well. That's objective 1. A second objective, she's going to empirically assess the key success factors for marketing the tourism establishment with specific reference to aspects including market segmentation, positioning, and market targeting. So here again, she's very specific, saying empirically assess, meaning she's going to conduct research by means of a survey. Herself, she's going to do it. That's empirical assessment of what? Of key success factors. For doing what? Marketing the establishment. Where? In Lesotho. And what she's going to look at specifically, she will look at, for example, segmentation, positioning, and marketing. That is specific. She will be able to measure whether or not she has achieved that objective. So those are examples of secondary objectives. Questions about that? No, nothing. Okay. Okay, so that is what we wanted to do today. We've looked at no, not today. Tomorrow. Okay, here we go. We've looked at the research process. Okay, we're almost done. We've looked at the research process. We've seen that each step in the process is also linked to what we are doing this semester, the assignments and the chapters in our final projects. We've looked at the problem statement, the criteria. What is a problem? What is an example of a very good problem statement? How should you write the problem statement? And we've looked at the objectives. All of you, you'll write 1 primary objective and 2 to 4 secondary objectives. Yes? So for assignment 1, are we all ready for that one? To start writing? Let's look at that assignment just briefly. Please go back to the learner guide every time for your assignment so that you can make sure what we are marking for. Each assignment includes a rubric. Okay? Look at that rubric, then you will see what we are marking for. You're going to have a problem statement, and you can see from the rubric the problem statement counts 15 marks. In other words, that is the most important of this assignment. It counts 15 marks. 1, 5. There's a research question. The research question, where do you get that? From your title and from your problem. Okay. Let's take an example. The title here, identifying the key success factors for marketing a tourism establishment in Lesotho. What are the key success factors for marketing a tourism establishment in Lesotho? I converted it into a research question. All right. That's also your problem. Remember, at the end of that problem statement, there was a question. That was the question. Okay. So you can include that question in your problem statement. So the question counts 5 marks. Then we have the primary objective. We've done the primary objective today. Again, it links to your title. Okay. Include all the variables that's in the title. And this also counts 5 marks. You write your secondary objectives. It's for 10 marks. We said 2 to 4 objectives. And then we're also going to look at the writing style, and also the referencing counts 5 marks. So you do not reference your objective. That is your own work. You do not reference your title. You do not reference your objectives. You do not reference your primary or secondary objectives. But what do you reference? Your problem statement. And that is assignment 1. Assignment 1 is due on the 8th of March. So what I'd like you to do after this lesson, you have to start working on your problem statement. Make appointments with your mentor to make sure that they read through it and make improvements or recommendations for you to make on your problem statement. And then on Thursday, we'll see you in the practical class. Bring those problem statements to the class so that we can read through them in class and already comment there. All right, I will be personally going through my students, all tourism students' problem statements to make sure that they are on the right track. Prof. Dix will check PR and hospitality. Okay, thank you guys. That's all for today.